Merci Frédéric. Bonjour à tous, bienvenue sur cette session consacrée à l'avenir des marketplaces, une session 100% interactive et pour bien profiter de l'expérience, je vous rappelle de sélectionner la session avenir des marketplaces pour pouvoir répondre aux questions et voter. Et d'ailleurs je vous pose une première question qui est c'est quand la dernière fois que vous avez acheté sur les marketplaces? Voilà, donc, première petit sondage pour se lancer sur le sujet. Et maintenant, on va basculer en anglais puisque l'un de nos speakers est anglophone. So, good morning everyone. Thank you for being here today. We're going to talk about the future of marketplaces. And for this, I'm very lucky to welcome three major players who are Ilya Shirokov, co-founder and CEO of Joom, which is a Russian mobile marketplace equally active in Russia and in Europe. Hello, Ilya.
Hi everyone.
Hi. Ilya, you are in Moscow, right?
Yes,
okay.
In Moscow.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. I'm also welcoming Fabien Versavo, who is the CEO of Rakuten France, so the French branch of Japanese e-commerce leader Rakuten, and Thomas Métivier, head of strategy, marketplace, international and innovation at Cdiscount, which is a French leader in e-commerce and part of Groupe Casino. And I am Fleur Fauconnier, principal consultant at The Trace, which is a strategy consultancy specializing in e-commerce and marketplaces. So there's no question marketplaces have undergone tremendous growth in recent years, and especially in the last few months with lockdowns that many countries have experienced, probably due to a particularly nimble supply chain model. So the marketplace model, the fact that third-party sellers sell their products on bigger platforms who are better equipped to address a large audience in exchange for a commission on the sales, this model, of course, is nothing new, but recently a number of initiatives and trends have emerged that seem to shed light on what the future of marketplaces might be. And the first significant one that comes to mind is the fact that marketplaces now plug into each other. And so they become sellers on other marketplaces where they sell their first-party offer, the products that they've bought from suppliers and that they have in stock, but they also sell their third-party offers, so the products from their marketplace sellers that is sold on their marketplaces, and they sell it on partnering marketplaces. And in that case, the idea, in order not to end up with high prices than the competition, is to split up the commission or the margin between partnering marketplaces. And a very good example of this is Cdiscount, which is, well, Cdiscount has been one of the first platforms to organize its own platformization, starting with partnerships with players in travel, in energy, in real estate, in driving licenses, I think, lately. And so the idea there is to address more consumer needs, of course, and probably also to build its differentiation from big global marketplaces who might not enter these markets right away. But Cdiscount has taken this approach of partnering with other players in platformization of its own platform into physical goods, which is its historical core business. And so Thomas Métivier, Now you're selling first-party offers on other marketplaces, I believe dozens of marketplaces in Europe, but you're also experimenting with selling your third-party offers on with a select marketplaces, and you've built an alliance for this, which is the International Marketplace Network, where you can find ePrice in Italy, Real in Germany, and eMag in Romania, if I'm correct. And so, can you explain us what's the idea there? And after a few months of existence of this alliance, how do you assess it?
Hello, Flor. Yes, today at Cdiscount we have 12,000 merchants, active merchants on our platform, and our ambition is to keep growing this number, to make sure that we have always more sellers active on our platform to offer more products to our customers. And one of the main action we want to take to make sellers eager to join our platform is to offer them more opportunities to sell their products, especially abroad. And in this philosophy, we have developed a partnership with 3 other leading European marketplaces in Italy, in Germany, and in Romania. And we offer to our merchants the opportunity to become sellers on those platforms. It makes it easier for them to join and to start making business abroad. And it incitates them to invest more time in our platform, creating more products, being more active, and at the end it's very good for the merchants because we have, for example, some French merchants in baby equipment that are producing and making those products in France, and now they can export them all across Europe very easily through our platform. And it's very good for our French consumers because as we are able to recruit additional merchants coming from our partner marketplaces, we can offer more products in France and offer them a better shopping experience.
And how do you work between partnering marketplaces? Do you share the margin or the commission? How does it work?
In this alliance, the model is that we've built a common platform to interconnect all our systems, and so we finance through the commission this platform, and it's really a win-win partnership with our partners because all of us push their merchants to go in this platform that has been developed by BZUP, one of our subsidiary, and we make sure that it's very easy for them to start selling on other platforms.
So once they have been onboarded on Cdiscount, they don't have to be onboarded from scratch into other partnering marketplaces. That's the
idea, yes.
Okay.
Because we know that it's very difficult for a marketplace to recruit lots of merchants. When we look at marketplaces in France and in Western Europe, we see that they have about 1,000 merchants every 100 of millions of GMV. So it means that if you have a small marketplace, you will not be able to recruit tens of thousands of merchants. And it's really by going into this partnership and this relationship that you can add new merchants, add new products, and benefit fully from the marketplace effects.
Okay, but when one of your sellers makes a sale on a partnering marketplace from the International Marketplace Network, how much do you earn from that sale?
We earn a bit of the commission, but the most important for us is the fact that we are able to recruit merchants also from those marketplaces.
Okay.
From a Cdiscount perspective, the two main interests is we have merchants that are more involved and engaged in our platform, and we are able to recruit more easily merchants from other marketplaces in Europe. Because we are all very strong on our core markets. We have a lot of French sellers, we have also a lot of European sellers, but there is more German sellers, for example, in Real than on Cdiscount, which is quite normal in terms of dynamism. But with this alliance, we are able to recruit hundreds of German merchants more easily. And so it's really a kind of sharing and win-win partnership between big marketplaces.
Okay. So there's this initiative abroad, but you also work like this with some French players. I'm thinking about Patatam, which is a French second-hand children's clothes and women's clothes marketplace. in that type of case, how does it work? I'm thinking if you what's left when you add one intermediary on the sale of a baby pouch courier that's sold maybe €6 with free shipping. What's left for you?
The question is always what do you bring to your consumer? Before talking of the commission and the commission sharing, the question is what do you bring to your consumer? If your consumer finds more products, it will come more often, it will buy more often, and you're building loyalty. So the question is not always on every action, what is the split of the commission, but is what you are doing good for your consumer? And it's really what we experiment in this marketplace world. You need to make sure that your merchants have a clear advantage on going into your platform and invest time in your platform. And you need to make sure that you are in line and answering the customer needs. And it's really what makes the value of marketplace. You are creating value for your merchants, you're creating value for your consumer. And when you're creating value for those two actors, at the end, you have opportunities to make money.
Okay. So we're going to Moscow now. So Ilya Shirokov, Joom is one of the marketplaces that works with other marketplaces and partner with other physical goods marketplaces. So what's the goal there?
Well, as my colleague from Cdiscount mentioned, when we think about what we do, we don't think about ourselves. We try to think about first our customers and second about our merchants. What value can we bring to those parties? And in terms of customers, when we add products from other marketplaces, we obviously increase the number of products that we have on the platform, especially in the long tail, and as a result, we just can serve our customers better. And from the merchant perspective, I think it's also beneficial because merchants do not need to connect and plug into many marketplaces to learn their rules. They can just work with their preferred partner and see their sales coming from some other places. So that's how we see this partnership evolving. At the same time, we're just experimenting. We've started this just recently, and we will need to see the results, how it all works in real life. But in the end of the day, I believe that by doing those partnerships, we can serve our customers better, and at the same time, we create value for merchants.
Okay, so I understand you work with Cdiscount, but more generally, how do you choose your partner marketplaces, and under what conditions can these partnerships work for you? Is it on certain, maybe only on your long tail, or only on certain categories, or only in specific markets?
Well, Cdiscount is the first marketplace that we're partnering, and we just want to play with it and see how it works. And based on the results of the tests, we will decide what we will be doing next. As of now, we are mainly a cross-border marketplace, and we have merchants from Asian markets. We are adding merchants from European markets, but not as fast as we would like to. And this partnership just helps us to onboard much more products from local merchants. Once we do it, we start marketing it to our customers, and then we will see what we are going to do next. So right now, it's too early to tell.
All right. Fabien Versavo, is Rakuten also experimenting with this type of partnerships? Do you share your sellers with other marketplaces or players?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Actually, Rakuten was founded back in 1997, so it was 23 years ago, and kind of created or co-invented the concept of marketplace. It all started back in Japan 23 years ago. And we didn't deviate from our initial vision, which was basically to empower small and medium merchants, right? So, and I'm getting to your question right after that. So that's why we are not seeking to directly integrate external product inventory or to distribute our own product inventory. We're more focusing on capturing additional inventory for moms and pops store, small shops around the world. So that's how, maybe compared to our fellow colleagues here, that's how we try to scale our supply, because in this industry, obviously, scale is critical. Second factor is Rakuten is a global company. We have e-commerce operation on all regions of the world, almost. So we share already, by nature, our network. We leverage our network of offices around the world. So we are able internally to connect our French merchants to our Eastern European platform, to the Japanese, more than 60,000 Japanese merchants are connected and can access European consumer or Northern American consumers. So it's more like internal network at that stage. What we did, though, because we were looking at initiative like Cdiscount did, for instance, and other in the world, so we tried some experiments. We did that with Walmart in the US, and we are doing this with a company called SDEC in Russia. They started their marketplace business, and they have integrated Rakuten Viber to offer different user experience booking through a messaging app. But to be frank, this is just an experiment at that stage, and we already have seen some major hurdles to scale that line of the business. You mentioned some of them. When you want to export outside Europe, for instance, you have the currency risk. You need to manage this. You have, if you have several intermediaries in the chain, then everyone adds up the fees. So you end up with a price competition which is hardly discussable. And finally, shipping fees also may be something that lower the competitiveness of your effort.
Okay. So you're saying you'd rather focus on the sourcing part of your business and try to expand that?
Exactly, exactly.
And would you say you're doing it more than your competitors? I mean, if it's your focus, what are you doing that the others aren't doing? Maybe you're connecting with more big retailers and on top of your little sellers? Yeah,
as I said, the initial vision of the founder was really to empower. We are not an extension of a first-party service, a retailer site. So this helped us to, since the beginning, focus our effort and energy to really convince and develop technology that helps, again, SMBs to join the platform and to find through our network a way to increase their sales and their margin, to accelerate their digitization, which is a very fancy concept now since we went through this pandemic, but it was already the case back in Japan. And in Japan, big retail chains were really threatening 20 years ago the small stores, and that's why Rakuten was created, and that's the mission that we pursue ever since. Okay, I'm thinking with the focus more on the sourcing, so more upstream in the value chain on sourcing and more inventory, etc., and partnering also with large brands. We've discussed for the moment how lines are getting blurred and online distribution channels downstream, but it's also true upstream. I'm thinking that I recently benchmarked for a client private label strategies within big global marketplaces like Alibaba, Zalando, etc. And these strategies are most developed in China, where marketplaces have their own private labels, and they really, they have the data, the access to suppliers, so they really become ODMs. They design products, they control production, etc. But their private label e-commerce websites and physical stores end up selling not only their own products, but also the products of their suppliers, their manufacturers. And so these websites become like these manufacturers to consumers M2C platforms, which is interesting because lines there are also getting blurred. And I'm also thinking about the Amazon private label strategy. Amazon's developed dozens of private labels, but last year decided not to develop more and to rather ask its partnering brands to develop exclusive brands and collections for Amazon. So
what I find interesting is that we've discussed the distribution channels downstream, but upstream also the lines are getting blurred because, of course, we've seen direct-to-consumer initiatives, and of course every player might at some point get a hold of a larger portion of the value chain, but now sometimes the consumer doesn't really know who is who and who does what, which is the case, I think, for these exclusive brands for platforms or for these manufacturers to consumer marketplaces. And so that brings us back to, well, the exclusivity question brings us back to the differentiation question. And that's kind of ironic because at the beginning of marketplaces, I remember how sellers were told not to put their most exclusive and valuable SKUs on marketplaces and to keep it for themselves. And now the question kind of falls back into your laps because if marketplaces start to share sellers and to have the same products and you kind of find the same products everywhere, then how will the consumer remember where the purchase was made? And will there be enough brands and sellers to uphold your unique selling proposition, to have a big enough market differentiation? So maybe Thomas Métivier or Ilya Shirokov, anyone who'd like to answer this question, how do you work on that? And if you're starting to share more and more sellers and products, how will you uphold your differentiation and your unique selling proposition?
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell about other marketplaces how they are going to differentiate themselves. So I can tell about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we are focused on two things. First, we are mobile marketplace. 95% of all our transactions are happening on the mobile devices, and probably 90% of all our efforts we channel towards the mobile devices. And second, we make big emphasis on social e-commerce. Maybe that's because we initially started working with the Chinese merchants, and we get in touch with what's happening in China. But we see a really big potential for the social e-commerce phenomena that is right now happening in Asia to be in Europe as well, and we want to be a pioneer of this trend. And that's how we want, and that's how we are going to be positioned in the minds of our customers. In terms of infrastructure, I agree with you that it seems that every company, every marketplace will have approximately the same infrastructure in terms of delivery times. Everyone is working with the same delivery companies, with the same warehouses. We share merchants with each other. So I don't think that this will be the differentiator in future, as it was, for example, in the past days when one marketplace could deliver to you very rapidly and the others just could not do it. But right now we see that the infrastructure is being developed very rapidly for everyone. So we see that differentiation should come from the other end. And from what we are doing is this mobile experience.
Okay, so differentiation will be on the way you sell and the experience rather than on the offer itself. So
yeah, this is the first thing, and second, in terms of so right now there are many marketplaces that are trying to be, the everything store, as Amazon, for example. But I think that going forward, there will be more and more niche players that are working in some specific categories. We see it already in fashion, for example, but I think that there will be more examples like this. Some marketplaces that fulfill their mission for some specific audience and providing this audience with some specific merchants and products.
All right. So another significant evolution in the world of marketplaces is the arrival of new intermediaries like Instagram, Facebook, Google Shopping, who no longer want to remain only discovery destinations, but also want to work down the value chain and host the transaction. This provides, of course, more value to them and also better conversion rates for their brand and retail clients. So I am absolutely not saying that it's the beginning of the end for traditional marketplaces that will remain more relevant for a majority of online purchases. That being said, what I'd like to know is, so these discovery destinations are trying to get a hold of the transaction step of the funnel. Does this change anything to the way you're working with them? And secondly, are you also trying to get a hold of, to expand on the e-commerce value chain? Maybe another question for Ilya Shirokov, since social media are a big part of your acquisition equation, and you know a lot about social networks for having built several in Russia and very successful ones. So has this trend changed the way you work with these destination channels?
Well, first of all, yes, we are one of the largest advertisers for Facebook in Europe, and we do not see that this will be changing in future. We have very good connection with Facebook team. They help us a lot with improving our advertising and so on. And I don't think that that's going to change going forward. At the same time, I was the founder of the first Russian social network and then was the CEO of the second largest social networks. So I've been building social networks for around 10 years. And throughout my whole career in social networking, I was trying to add e-commerce to my social networks that I was running at that time. And we had so many experiments, but finally what I realized is that in the end of the day, people come to social networks to get some information about what's happening in the world, or get some information about what's happening with their friends and family and so on. Sometimes, and that's the primary goal, why they go to the social network. Yes, sometimes they may see some product, click on this product and maybe buy this product, but this will be, I would say, impulsive buying behavior, and it's really hard to close this deal, because in many cases, when you see a product, you put it in the basket or you add it to the favorites, and then you want to go and compare it and to think about it, and then you need to return to your basket and finish the sale. And the way e-commerce destinations are doing this, they send you push notifications and so on. But the social network cannot do this because if you start selling a lot of push notifications about what's happening in your basket and asking your customer to finish the sale, then customers start removing your notifications from the social network. And in terms of the social networking business, it's really it's really important part of what they're doing.
If I may, many consumers follow brands on Instagram, so it's the consumers are the ones who are asking for it, and they follow brands, and the brands say they were very eager for Instagram to start hosting the transaction. So I understand if it's not something interesting for Joom, but in some cases, apparently, it's not a problem for consumers to buy on such social networks.
No, it's not. Of course, it's not a problem, but it is like when you want to buy something, would you go to a social network or would you go to an e-commerce marketplace? What we see, for example, in China, right now, everyone knows that there is a boom for online streams and shopping inside online streams, and many players are trying to play in this area. But so far, the most successful ones are Tmall videos or Taobao videos and Pinduoduo videos. It's not the social networks who are selling this stuff, but actually e-commerce websites that start organizing those online video translations with some sales inside. And I think that's my personal view, and we will see how it plays out. But we see that transactions, there will be some transactions in social network. Of course, they will get something, but I don't think that it will get a significant share of the total e-commerce market.
All right, we're going to take a question from the audience. So to be successful and offer a great customer experience, does a marketplace need to handle the delivery on behalf of third parties? Well, that's a very good point.
Yes.
So some are trying, some are succeeding. Maybe Thomas, an answer?
Yes, I agree because on what Ilya said, I was clearly aligned on the customer side, saying that the differentiation will mainly come from marketplaces on the way they handle their customer and the experience they offer. But I disagree a lot on the question of the infrastructure. We clearly have two kinds of marketplaces today. You have them that have built a very strong infrastructure in terms of fulfillment capabilities, services they offer to their merchants, and that are able to reach a very high level of quality of experience for their customers. And you have all the marketplaces that are relying a lot on the individual performance of the merchants. And what we see is that there is a huge difference in terms of quality of experience for the customer between the marketplaces that are offering services to help the merchants go to the level of quality of first-party sales and the other one. And at Cdiscount, it's something we have invested a lot. For example, more than 50% of the business of Chinese vendors on Cdiscount are fulfilled by Cdiscount. It means that you have Chinese products, I would say Chinese prices, but Cdiscount quality of service. You're delivered next day. In some city, you're delivered the same day on the evening with products directly coming from China with Chinese prices. And we are also able to help French SMBs, French manufacturers that are producing their products. They don't have any knowledge in terms of B2C logistics, B2C customer care, but they can put their products in our warehouse and we ship them and we deal with the customer support. We have an example of a French company making baby equipment, and they've been able to develop their business relying on our fulfillment and customer support activity. So I strongly believe that if you want to have a very high quality of service, very good customer experience, you need to invest on that. And it's not something that is facultative for marketplace if they want to go to the top table.
Okay. So in terms of what value marketplaces will have to bring in the future, well, right now and in the future, to stay relevant and to continue growing, you're saying that it's not just accompanying the customers, but also the sellers. That is going to be very important.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. And we are investing a lot on the services for merchants and services that can help merchants develop their sales. We were talking of Facebook and Google developing marketplaces, but we have developed a retail media platform that make brands and merchants able to invest and to push advertising. And we are starting to push advertising on behalf of our merchants all across the web, and which makes it very profitable, and they have better performance driving people on Cdiscount than going to their own website. Because when people want to buy a product, they prefer to do it on an e-commerce platform and on a marketplace.
Fabien, what's your take?
Yeah. Happy to comment on that one, because I think it all comes down to what's the value proposition for the consumer and how to avoid marketplaces to become commoditized. You know, when marketplaces become a utility, basically you lose your ability to do a business. And if it's all about piling up the same offers from the same merchants and seeking for scale, clearly it will not work. On the other hand, when you're asking the question of the risk of intermediation by social networks, I think it's more than like an opportunity, because they have audience at scale and they're able to segment, to re-engage in an efficient way this audience thanks to their social network data. So this is an opportunity for us basically to capture a more qualified traffic and to bring that traffic to a pure e-commerce experience. And just to finish on that part, how do we create value differentiation? It's basically that, you know, we are sponsor of the FC Barcelona, and you know their tagline is more than a club. I would say that the answer to your question is marketplace business is much more than audience and checkout. There are different things, and Thomas highlighted the points around fulfillment, which is key. But I can tell you that what we bring in terms of value covers AI services that we bring to the sellers. You have all the fraud, the payments you need to secure, all the management of the cash cycle. And at Rakuten, for example, we have a banking license which enables us to do loans to SMB, easing their cash position and making their replenishment easier. You have the fulfillment, as you said, but there is also something which is the reward, loyalty. A key question in the e-commerce era, obviously today, is how to respond to inflation around cost of the traffic, and some of the marketplaces are developing, it's our case, membership program, reward system, which create a lot of value for the sellers.
Okay, thank you. We were going to take a question from the audience, which is a very pragmatic question. What is, according to you, the best way for marketplaces to handle the returns of goods? Well, that's a big challenge. It is a big challenge for every marketplace. And of course, we're not talking about the returns of goods that are fulfilled by the marketplace. So I don't know if any of you has idea on that.
One very short comment on that is I think we are doing that twofold. First is obviously we're partnering with the best logistician on the planet when in the location or the region where we don't have our own capabilities. And second is that we use this data to score and to segment our user. And it's not all about pushing the merchant on the platform that brings the higher margin to the marketplace operator. It's much more a combination of quality and returns, and the rate of returns obviously is included in all the algorithms we use to filter and to make sure that the supply we push to our user generates the lowest return rate of return.
Okay. Ilya, back to you on the question of value, because of course the two typical sources of income for marketplaces are commissions on the sale and advertising. But do you think that will change in the future? And where is the value coming from right now? Because so you seem to disagree with Thomas Métivier. So Thomas says a lot comes from the infrastructure. What's your take on this? Do you think it's not the case anymore, and what will it be in the future? Where will value come from?
Well, I agree that the infrastructure is important, but at the same time, we, for example, are building fulfilled by Joom warehouses around the world right now. We were talking about how I see the competition in future, and based on what's happening in China, for example, again, we see that Pinduoduo appeared 3 or 4 years ago, and they basically get the same infrastructure that JD and Alibaba have been enjoying or have been building for 2 dozens of years. And I think that we will see the same trend in Europe when every new player will have already an ability to use some infrastructure that existing in this market. Maybe right now it is not yet the case, but I'm pretty sure that it will be the case in future. So that's that. I just wanted to clarify this for you. Regarding the value that the marketplace is bringing to you, to the customer, I think it's pretty easy. So every marketplace helps the customer bringing the large assortment, good prices, and great delivery to the end customer. And I don't think that it's gonna be changing. On the other hand, what we are doing right now, we believe that unlike in some other marketplaces, merchants should own their customer data, and they should be able to communicate directly with their customers. They should be able to send some information, or maybe some push notification, or maybe some emails to their customers. They should be able to see and understand who are their customers, to see the segmentation and so on. We right now are building those capabilities to merchants. In terms of the business model, I don't think that it's going to change. There will be two revenue sources: advertising and commission, and different players, will be putting different priorities. But I don't think that it's going to change dramatically.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good occasion for a quick survey for the audience. Where do you think the value will come from for Marketplace in the future? What do they have to develop now to bring enough value to stay relevant in the future? So if you could give your quick answer, and we're going to display your answers in a cloud of words. We've discussed, we've kind of taken a telescope to imagine the future of marketplaces, but a bit far away. But many changes are already happening now. I'm thinking about marketplaces that stop their B2B businesses, some that launch a retail media business, some are stopping their private labels business, some are going into food in order to increase loyalty through recurring purchases. So these trial and errors seem to, and sometimes trial and success, seem like proofs that maybe marketplaces are looking for a way to make a little bit more profits, maybe not become more profitable, but still make a bit more money. So I'm not saying the model by itself is doomed, on the contrary, but still I'm curious to see that how you approach the question of profitability and of making more, earning more of the value of the market as marketplaces, and also through partnerships. This was kind of the topic of the day, but when you think about the profitability of a marketplace, very often it's not on its own, and we've seen it through O2O synergies, the ones that Rakuten is making with, say, Boulanger, or that La Redoute is finding with Galeries Lafayette, but also through how the marketplace can bring value to a larger ecosystem of services. So again, maybe Fabien Versavo to start with. How do you approach this question of profitability?
Okay. The question of sustainability of the model beyond pure profitability. Obviously, profitability is one core component of how you make sure that your service is sustainable and is able to be agile and to adapt to the change of the environment and in consumer needs, obviously. I think getting back to the COVID-19 pandemic, what we see, obviously, and what we foresee is a fundamental change in the user behavior and in the consumption for a long-term period. It's not just a one-time transformation. So our response to this, you mentioned that, is to bring greater value by leveraging the fact that we are not a first-party e-commerce. We don't compete with our merchants. We are a pure standalone marketplace. So this is something that is interesting from our perspective for big retail chain across the world who are seeking to increase foot traffic in the stores and capture more value. So this is the first answer. We do that through real-time in-store pickup services. Second answer is membership. We have built a membership program which is enable our merchant to benefit from the Rakuten Point, our loyalty program, and which help to drive higher LTV and lower cost of acquisition for our merchant. This has been demonstrated and scaled 1.3 billion members across the world. And lastly, on a less direct business perspective, my take is you have to contribute to society, right? As a company, you have to act as a role model. This is a very Japanese mindset, and you have to try to bring something to your ecosystem as opposed to disrupt and looking for only killing the incumbents, let's say. So you have to be fair with your employee. You have to be established in every single country where you operate, paying your taxes and contributing to society. You have to treat your merchant equally, fairness, with a balanced stance. You don't have to favor merchant because they bring more ad revenue, for instance. This kind of value, I think, will make a platform sustainable.
All right. Ilya Shirokov, a few words on that subject. I think Joom is nearing profitability, right?
Well, there were two subjects. First, about our approach to the profitability, and our approach is very simple. We are profitable, especially in Europe, where we are very profitable, and we do not want to change anything in this regard. And second question was about the business model and maybe some new services and so on. And how we approach this, we are always trying to help our merchants to do their business. And right now, for example, we saw a pretty high demand for our logistical services. As you might know, we built Joom Logistics. This is our own logistics company that initially was shipping goods from China to 197 countries where we operate. And the pandemic showed that this logistics company have been the most effective during the pandemic. But what we saw right now in Europe is that European customers, merchants, asked us to help building logistics within Europe. It's very easy to ship something within one European country, but not always easy to ship something from one European country to another European country. And we've actually started building this, and we provided the services to our first merchants, and we will see how it's going to be playing out. For example, we saw similar requests from our Korean merchants, and we are building right now a solution for them that they will be able to use for their Joom orders, but not only for their Joom orders, but from orders that they are doing in some other platforms. And that's how we are going to work in future. We have a couple of other initiatives that we are discussing with our merchants and trying to understand how we can help them to do their business. So hopefully there will be some news and announcements regarding this maybe in the coming months.
Okay, fantastic. Thomas Métivier, a few words on this subject, profitability?
Yes, I think the crisis has confirmed what we all knew for a couple of years. Marketplace is clearly the winning model in the e-commerce world. Marketplaces have been more resilient and more efficient than usual e-commerce during the pandemic, because you rely on thousands, tens of thousands of merchants, and you can have an auto balance of your activity. If one merchant doesn't have stock anymore, another one will still have some, and you can keep operating. And on some categories where there was a big surge in demand, we run out of stock in our 1P business, and the marketplace keep growing and keep making business. So we're sure that it is a winning model. The main aspect that can make a marketplace not profitable is scale. If you spend a lot of money, a lot of time to recruit merchants come to your platform, doesn't make enough business, they leave your platform, you're just losing money. And if you don't have enough merchants, you can't build a correct offer for your consumer. So the question is, how do you help actors that need to go into the marketplace world reach this scale effect. Because you can't invest in a fulfillment network if you're not big enough. You can't invest in recruiting lots of merchants if you're not big enough. You can't invest in technology, you can't invest in AI if you're not big enough. And the question is, how do can we help actors, retailers, other e-commerce players to reach this scale? Because for us, it's the only way we can imagine a European alternative, a European form kind of e-commerce, different from American and Chinese one, maybe a bit more based on partnerships, on collaboration, but making sure that we together reach this effect that making the life simple for merchants and allow retailers, e-commerce players to select the best product for their consumers and to keep them engaged and loyal to their platform.
Okay. Thank you. So we're getting now to the conclusion, and I'm thinking we witnessed how online retailers opened their model to marketplaces a few years back, and that stirred quite a debate. At the time it was, oh, Amazon is completely mad to welcome competitors on its premises. Then the dominant belief became, oh, it's all right to do so as long as you keep the marketplace under a third of your total online GMV. And now it's, oh, the more the better. And even if you become less of a retailer and more of a tech companies that that serves brands and sellers. So it's a very interesting transition. What I'm thinking is, so we've seen this transition from e-commerce to marketplace, and we're now kind of seeing what the next step is going to be. So thank you very much for these very rich insights into how you are going to, where you are going to lead the marketplaces you represent. So Joom, Cdiscount and Rakuten. And thank you for giving us a better view of what's coming and what marketplace and marketplace business model could become in the future. So, merci beaucoup à tous les trois. On arrive à la fin de cette session et maintenant on va passer à la suite du programme qui continue dans quelques instants avec le premier cas client. Thank you very much, Ilya, for being with us from Moscow, and thank you, Fabien, thank you, Thomas, et à bientôt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.